hello friends, and welcome to another Ask Zac. I hope you're doing well today. Today we are going to talk about the Ask Zac theme song. I'm going to show you how to play it, and I'm going to tell you the inspiration behind it, which is an interesting story. But I'm going to do the playing part first, so that we can so you can get that set aside, and then if you want the full story, you can watch the rest of the episode. So as always, if you've been enjoying the show and you haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe. If you've already subscribed, I really appreciate you supporting the show. There's multiple ways. There's tip jar information in the description. You can go to askzac.com and you can find merch there, like this A to Z shirt. Or you can find out about Friends of Ask Zac, which you get exclusive content. You get the episodes early without commercials, and you also get some Ask Zac guitar picks and a thank you note from me. So check that out. All right, let's just dive in. So I'm going to show how to play it. So this is in the key of B flat, and I'll just have to say that I'll talk more about this later, but this came from a Guthrie trap example, and then kind of exercise, and then me kind of taking it. So it has to do with playing an arpeggio and then playing part of a major scale back down. So I'm going to play it real slow. So there you have the arpeggio, 1, 3, 5. So there you have the arpeggio, and then you're going down to the octave B flat. You go all the way down to the 5, and then you're going to skip down to the 3, and then you start the same thing over again, but one string down. And the last note you play is that G. And then for the 5 chord, you're going to start on an A note, which is of course, the third. And instead of it being a major 7 arpeggio, it's going to be a dominant 7 arpeggio. And then it goes straight into another, kind of major 7 arpeggio. And usually I would end that with, playing a big B flat 6/9 chord. And sometimes I'll add the pinky in there. And then you can make it even more interesting by tapping on the 12th fret. A flat 5 thing. So yeah, so that's the part, and of course, I'll just play it, one time through. All right. So now for the reason why. So in 2019, I was, in some situations where I was kind of in a high stress situation, and I started having a lot of hand pain, and the hand pain got so bad that I couldn't play the guitar. In fact, I couldn't even hold the steering wheel with this left hand. And it was overwhelming. I mean, because the guitar is, of course, important to me. And I mean, it meant that this hand just kind of laid, it just kind of hung at my side, and I couldn't really do much with it. I mean, it was really bad. So I started, going to doctors, therapists, and such. And for a while there, they couldn't really figure out what was going on. And then we were able to kind of clue in more on what was going on, and also the fact that really the stress that I was under was really exacerbating the situation. So one, I found, some exercises that helped it a lot. And I'm going to show this. This is what I do. And this is having to do with my hand situation. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist or anything, but it has to do with me placing my thumb here and having my thumb out. And if you listen carefully, you could, if you turn it up real loud, you could hear clicking sounds. So what that's doing, it's breaking up this scar tissue that's here in my wrist. So I started doing that, and I started dealing with the stress that was in my life in a better way, and things started to get better. But when you don't play the guitar for a couple months, and that's what it ended up being. It ended up being about a couple months where I couldn't really play the guitar. It really takes you a couple steps back. So I really found myself having to almost relearn. I didn't have to relearn how to play, but what had happened was my muscles had atrophied because basically I wasn't using this hand at all. I couldn't even, like I said, I couldn't even grip a steering wheel really without it really hurting. So I really had to build back, strength in my hand and also build back coordination. And so I started trying to do things like this that everyone's, aware. Okay, but that's boring. It's terrible. It's awful. It's so uninspiring to play. And something sparked actually in a recent Guthrie Trapp episode. I'm a Guthrie Trapp fan. I really enjoy his playing and I enjoy his episodes. I think he's a very talented guitar player, and I think he has a lot of great concepts. He's influenced me a lot in his concepts, not in me wanting to be like Guthrie Trapp, but me wanting to learn important concepts that I think he has and that he explains them well. So one thing he said in a recent episode was that he didn't like these, kind of mindless exercises because it didn't sound like music. And that's the same thing that happened to me back in 2019, is that those kind of exercises, I hated them. Well, I saw Guthrie play something it wasn't the Ask Zac theme, but it was similar, where he was playing an arpeggio and then playing part of a major scale back down. And I started playing that, and I started kind of messing around with it, and all of a sudden it kind of started sounding like something. And the exercise made me use my pinky, it made me use all my fingers, and at first I had to play it really, really slow. And then I started getting a little faster, was playing it with a metronome. And before I knew it, it was musical sounding, and it started to sound like something. And it was fun to play. And it just kind of gave me a little joy as I was kind of getting the guitar back and getting my hands back in shape. And so fast forward just a month or two later, I decided to start doing the Ask Zac show here on YouTube. And I thought about what I wanted to do, for a theme, or if I wanted a theme, or if I just wanted to have it where, all of a sudden I just start coming on and start talking. And I thought about, I could do something like this. Which was cool. But I thought, that could be a theme. But I just kept going back to that one exercise. And and it just kind of gave me joy. It was kind of like it had kind of a retro fun quality. It kind of had a Mr. Rogers meets Pee Wee Herman kind of quality, if you're familiar with those characters from the past. I know my generation is. But and so it just became, this is what I want to do. This is kind of giving you a little bit of a preview of what you're about to see. So that's what I wanted with the Ask Zac theme, was just something that kind of tells you this is a little bit about me, and this is preparing you what I'm going to talk about, and it tends to be kind of hopefully a little fun and retro, and so that's where it came about. And so I need to take off my hat to Guthrie Trapp for putting forth some ideas, musical ideas that influenced me and ended up creating the Ask Zac theme. Also, another thing I need to kind of take my hat off to Guthrie to is that until I started watching his show, I would just sit around in the guitar playing random things. The thing I noticed about Guthrie is whenever he was playing, you could hear the chord changes. Even though he's playing by himself, you could tell by the notes he was playing, you could hear the changes in your head. And I loved that. And so then I started working toward that. So whenever I play, whenever I'm just sitting around, I always play in that fashion. And it sounds better. It's more pleasing. And also it really helps you when you're playing with a band, because there's voice leading involved and people can tell where you're going and it sounds like you know what you're doing. So, yeah, so that's been a big thing for me, just. So just in that little example, you could hear where I played over the 1, over the 4, and over the 5 chords. I made it obvious, and it just sounds more musical. And so thank you to Guthrie. All right, well that's kind of the story about the Ask Zac theme. And again, the tab link is in the description, and I hope you'll watch it. And I hope you will check it out and enjoy it. And again, thank you as always. And again, a big thanks to Guthrie Trapp. All right, bye-bye.